I want to talk about why conflict is inherently spiritual. Because in the spiritual world, we often have a really complicated relationship with conflict. We can think that we can just be neutral, that we shouldn't have any feelings or reactions, and that if we do have an emotion that isn't positive, that somehow we're failing. But in reality, conflict is a spiritual practice, and we have to redefine our relationship with conflict and recognize it as a tool of spiritual growth. Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm a fourth generation intuitive, and I teach people how to plug back into their innate divine GPS, their intuition. And today, I want to talk about a hot topic, conflict. So first of all, what I have noticed, I've grown up in the spiritual world, and there can be this idea that we should just become neutral, devoid of any feeling and not react. And that feels really ambitious. I talk to clients and mentor people all the time who say, the thing that I would like more is to just be totally neutral, to not get reactive. Now, the thing about feelings and emotions is it's not about feeling the feelings. Emotions are really good signals. They tell us what matters to us. They tell us what we value. They tell us what our boundaries are. And it's not about quelling or stamping on our emotions, but in reality about how to read these emotional guideposts and really to better navigate our lives. So the first thing that I want to say is I was recently talking to a client of mine. And she came to me for a bunch of mentoring sessions, and one of the things that she really wanted to develop was her own intuition and really discover her own soul purpose. So when we started working together, the first thing that I really recognized was that not only was she a very sensitive person, but that oftentimes she didn't even know what she wanted. Her inner empath and that place of connection often centered other people instead of herself. And because of that, you can kind of think of other people's energy filling in the space of her own mind. So there was no clarity on what she wanted. The way that she lived her life was that she would center herself around her mom or her brother or her boyfriend. And because she was really smart and creative, she could understand why they did all these things. Why her mom was consistently late, even though timeliness was an important thing to her. Why her boyfriend was kind of crabby and not helping around the house because he was in medical school. Why her brother didn't show up when she needed him, and why he was all over the place. But the thing that I found, and the thing that we really discovered and uncovered, was that she was so understanding that there was no place for her to have boundaries and say, hey, hold on, this doesn't work for me. And when we were talking, she was like, I just want to get to a place where I'm totally neutral. And I'm like, well, good luck. And also, when we have feelings are also our fuel for desire, which helps us create. Feelings are a good thing. They connect us to our bodies. Like I said, what's important, and help us to tell us what is our North Star. And when we can really rearrange our idea of conflict. And when we were talking about it, I was like, well, how was your experience with conflict growing up? Just like, I grew up in a house where we didn't have conflict. Or something happened, we just all kind of sat in silence until it kind of went away. And so we went discovering it. I was like, well, so in a way, conflict for you was equated to danger. And that if you said anything, what you were doing was being pushy or not nice or not obeying your parents. She was like, that totally clicks. So I said, let's re-examine. Instead of that you're being difficult, we can say that you're actually redefining your relationship with yourself and even connecting to your spirit, your deeper self that tells you the truth so that you can create change in these relationships. I was like, with your mom, what do you want? And she was like, well, I would love if my mom wasn't late all the time, every time we had lunch. And I was like, well, you can't change how other people act or react, but you can tell your mom how you feel. And that when she's late, it makes you feel bad and like you're not important. And having that conversation, at first her mom was super defensive. She was like, I'm so busy, blah, 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 and gave her a lot of pushback. She came back, she was like, I'm not sure how we got into this big fight. So we talked about, one, observe. When we can observe other people's behavior, we can actually give ourselves a moment to slow down before we react. When we grow, and when she was growing and saying like, look, this behavior doesn't work for me and I'm changing. And because I am changing, that means that I am reacting differently. And I'm encouraging you to change. You can or can't, but when we change ourselves, we create a change in a system. And a lot of times the people who are used to us being an old way don't want to change because they're comfortable. It was always comfortable for her mom to be late and not care. Well, then her mom didn't care, but that was something that was an unspoken agreement between them. And so in changing and saying, yo, it makes me feel bad that you're late. And if you're continually late, then I don't want to make plans with you as a consequence to that behavior. And so that was a really healthy, not only boundary, but also a way that conflict actually breeded more intimacy. She told her mom how she was feeling and that it was important for her to keep in mind her word because her time was important. And after a while, her mom kind of grumbled and whatever, but actually made a pointed effort to be more on time. And so when we can change, like I said, that relationship with conflict, we don't have to get into the mishmash of fighting and yelling, but we can start to think, how do I want this to be my North Star? What would I like as an expected outcome instead of getting into why people are behaving the way that they do? We can really often do that a lot as empaths and intuitives. We're really good at understanding people's why. And that can give them permission to continue behaving badly. You can understand why somebody's doing something, but that doesn't mean that you can say that that's okay. You can still ask for a change. Even with her boyfriend in medical school, I was like, well, what is it that you want? She's like, I need more help around the house. And so that same thing applied. She now had a little practice with her mom and went to her boyfriend and said, hey, I need more help around the house. Things are super busy. I am not getting enough attention. It's making me feel bad. And at first he had a big emotional reaction because a lot of times when we give feedback to people, they can take it as a threat or an attack. But when we can actually, and here are a few rules of the road, focus on the behavior, not the person. So we don't attack people's character. We can look at exactly what's not working. I need help around the house. This isn't working. I need a certain amount of attention. That is some clear directives. Two, when people have an emotional reaction, what we can do is actually be like little detectives and say, okay, what is going on under the surface? How is it that they're feeling? Are they feeling sad? Are they feeling disappointed? Are they feeling defensive? And if we can talk to their emotion, I can hear and see that you feel upset by this. Then a lot of times what happens is people will start to relax instead of start to get even more upset. When your people are in this place of conflict, what they really want is to be understood. And you can understand people and still hold what you want to be, like what you want. And you can hold those two things. And as empaths, that can be a really beautiful skill that you can use to help create change in your relationships. And three, I would just say, spiritual growth and our growth means that we change. And when we change, that means that we change with how we interact with the world around us. And that's a good thing. I know that on my own path, I've had to actually grow out of old relationships and really recognize that my own fear that they won't grow with me means that I don't have to play small. And that actually in choosing myself and in loving myself, I can be an example and I can trust their spirit to figure it out. So I just want to say in this video, if you are in conflict, look at your relationship with it. Conflict breeds intimacy and trust because it gives us boundaries, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Conflict also says that we get past what is on appearance and we ask for more. And that is really important. When we can have honest conversations with the people we love and care about, and just period in our life, that means that we center ourselves and our spirit and actually not only better connect here, but better connect to the people around us. So conflict isn't bad. It's actually a good thing. It breeds intimacy and connection and lets you be in your own authentic truth and invites other people to do the same. Don't have to get caught up in the emotional mishmash. That's not the problem. That's okay. Feelings are okay. You know, they tell us that things are important, but at the same time, we can get underneath what's being said and use it as a point to connect. So I hope you enjoyed our video this week and why conflict is important. So a few tools of the week. 1, look at your own relationship with conflict. How do you feel about it? Did you come from a family that fought a lot, that didn't say anything? Does that feel like a bad thing? 2, think about what your North Star is. Instead of understanding why people are behaving the way or how or X, Y, or Z, think about what you want the outcome to be. That can give you a way to communicate clearly with the people around you. 3, connect to your spirit. Your ego will be the one that will be afraid that if you are truthful that you'll lose. But your spirit will always connect you to your highest self. And in that place, you can actually talk to the spirit of the people around you instead of their barking dog. 3, I think, slow down. When we can slow down, we can check in with our own bodies and check in with what's true. And especially if you're in conflict, my big thing is like if the volume goes up and it gets more and more intense, our listening goes down. So I will literally be like, okay, time out. Like a few weeks ago, my mom and I got into a fight and I was like, okay, I need a time out. We both gave ourselves a few minutes and then came back and were able to work it out. So slowing down. And last but not least, know that sometimes in our spiritual growth, we outgrow people, and that's okay. You don't need to make it work or overgive as a way to stay connected. Your growth encourages other people to grow. And know that on the other side of that will be people who are on your level. So don't play small to stay connected because that will never serve you or your spirit. So I'm sending you all my love. If you liked my video, hit like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and don't forget, check out all my free tools and tips. I have a free guided meditation to meet your spirit guides. I have a wonderful spirit type quiz with actionable ways to take care of your specific spirit type. I have a weekly podcast with my mom and sister called It's All Related, and I do weekly videos. So we have tons of tips, tools. I'm sending you all my love. Bye.